Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery podcast are proud to bring you Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast. Join your hosts, Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, as they address the real issues in health and wellness for first responders. From physical and mental health to relationships and work-life balance, we leave no stone unturned. Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as iHeartRadio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery answering the call.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, and I'm here with Jersey Ed. Well, he's not here, but he's there.
I'm over here somewhere.
He's here in
to
spirit.
get centered
He's
here.
here in spirit. And we
I'm
also have
I'm at a random porch in an undisclosed
location.
Location, yes, that's it. That's what you cops say, right? Location.
That's cop
is what
talk.
you cops say.
You're right.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
I'll get it down one day.
We say a lot of things.
He's an unsub. He's a perp.
Yeah, he's a perp.
Yeah.
A perp.
And that other voice is our producer extraordinaire, the one and the only Sweets.
That is right.
Sweet.
In the
Real
background.
quick, guys. Yeah. Real quick, Jodi Levins is going to be our guest. Just want to get that out there.
Jodi Levins, yes.
Stay tuned. Go ahead, Sweets.
Oh, I was just going to say that I'm in the background trying to make you guys look good, sound good,
Feel good.
feel good, get you guys all
Sweets.
warmed up before the show.
I'm going to give you a dare right here.
Do it. What do you got?
Okay. So I want you to turn a camera on yourself.
No.
Can't do it. Can't do
Good
it.
man. Good man.
Not
You
gonna
passed
happen.
the test. You
Not
passed
gonna
the
happen.
test.
Wilson.
No.
That's all we can
That's it.
say.
Listen,
That's
the
it.
myth of Sweets is much better than Sweets. I don't want to ruin whatever you got going on in your head. You know what I mean? You don't want to meet your idols,
That's right.
right?
No, you don't. You
No,
don't.
it ruins whatever you got going on.
Just like in the the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mother. You never
exactly.
see it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just see it, right?
yeah.
You know what's funny
that's
is
true.
what's his name?
The guy who plays the son.
Yeah, the son.
Sheldon?
Great.
His wife
Yeah, is
is the voice.
Is that right?
I think so.
Oh, really?
That's
I do.
right.
Well, they
okay.
sound almost exactly the same,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
at least she makes it sound like that. So.
She does when they just had an episode where they were getting married and he's yelling at the mother and then she's talking to him. He's yelling at her and he's calling her mom. And
Yeah.
then it's
And they
hilarious.
sound exactly the same. I think it's the same woman.
I think it
I think
is.
she plays that.
Hilarious show.
So is this what you cops do? You guys listen to or you watch the
Well, the old retired cops. All right, I'm old. I'm a bag of junk. 28 years on nights, pal. I didn't see a lot of Seinfeld. This is all new to me now. Watching all this stuff. I've been
he's
retired.
able to That's right.
That's right.
So
No,
speaking
I'm enjoying it.
of pops.
cops and
Pops.
hops. Yeah.
Cops. Speaking of cops, I got a badge number 1163. Should I give that number out?
That's my badge number. That's
Do it.
correct. That's right.
163. So
doesn't it?
if you want to get a hold of us and tell us how fucked up we are on this show, 617-379-1163.
1163.
And tell us a little significance about that 163 there, Podfather.
So that was my badge number for 35 years, 163. I used to play it all the time in the, in the lottery, and I never hit. I'd go to the racetrack. I'd play the 1, 6, and 3 horse or dog or whatever. It never hit for some reason. But when I didn't play it, it would hit all the time.
Mhm.
Of course.
That's how that works.
Go
right?
figure, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
when I retired, there was a young kid. I worked in the what we used to call projects. I don't think we can call them anymore. Assisted living, I guess. Not assisted living.
Affordable
but
housing.
Affordable housing.
Affordable
Thank
housing.
you.
Yeah, let's call it what it is.
And one of the boys that grew up there, he ends up becoming a firefighter, and then he wasn't happy with that job, so he took the police exam, and lo and behold, Red becomes a police officer, a Lowell police officer. So I bequeathed my badge to him, my hat badge and my badge number to him, just to keep it out there. And then I had another badge I got.
Cool.
Well, I have another badge. When I came on the job, they gave me 2 badges, and I put one in a badge wallet, and it really never saw the light of day. It was always covered. And there was a girl that came on the job, and her name is Kerry Bomel. And of course, the badge back then used to say patrolman, not patrol woman or patrol person. So I told her she could have my badge. This badge brought me luck. 35 years, not a lot of cops make it that long.
Yeah.
But she had to wear it. And lo and behold, every time I see her on the streets of Lowell, she has the badge on if she's in
Wow.
uniform. Yeah.
She has
so-
your badge.
Yeah, I wanted it to live on. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
want to put it in a drawer, and 3 decades from now, one of my grandchildren will find it and say, "Oh, this was Grandpa's badge." So I wanted that stuff to live on.
So the badge number doesn't get retired. It could be recycled.
No, actually, it does get retired. When you leave, you take your badge with you. But they can always reissue. There's so many different
Okay.
numbers. You know how numbers
Yeah.
are. You get 3 numbers and you have a million.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so it can very, very doubtful someone's going to have badge number 163.
Okay.
Other than red.
Yeah, exactly. And now we have it as our phone number. So
That's right.
That's
That's right.
That's it. So real quick, I want to introduce Jodi Levins. She's our guest today. Jodi went into criminal justice field in 1987 as a crime scene tech for 12 years. She then was a paralegal for the sheriff's office for about 7 years and wanted a change in her life. So Jodi then went back to school in 2005 at the age of 39 to become a registered nurse. Altogether, Jodi has 5 degrees. Jesus, we're going to talk to a smart woman here, Podfather. Sweet, you're going to have to help us out with this one. Introducing her, including her master's. But the one thing that she's most proud of is she's been in recovery for 2 years. She's in the process and continue to help others in nursing in Florida. Jodi, we just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your experience, strengths, and hope, and all your background accomplishments. Yeah, Jodi, I should have read this first before I started thinking I know what I'm saying. So, Jodi, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the
quite
show,
an
Jodi.
Accomplishment, yes. So, Podfather, Jodi and I know each other. I don't know Jodi personally, but I know her pretty well through the rooms of AA. That's how we met. Jodi comes on to Friends in Recovery virtual meetings almost daily. And her and I became really close. And, I know she was a nurse because a lot of the first responders, we are including the nurses as first responders because of this COVID, and they're getting the recognition finally that they need. And Jodi, Jodi's has really good recovery, really passionate about recovery. She's also, you also work with Celebrate Recovery too, right, Jodi?
Yes, I do. Been going to Celebrate Recovery for over 2 years. Been sober for 2.5 as of June 2nd.
Congratulations.
Wow, congratulations.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
So you were a crime scene analysis?
Crime scene technician, yes,
Technician.
for almost 10 years.
And what department?
Okay.
What state? What department?
In Florida with the Polk County Sheriff's
Good
Office.
for you. Wow, you must have seen some stuff.
Oh, yeah. I saw some stuff. You saw stuff that humans did to each other, which, nobody should see.
Exactly.
Nobody should see.
Everything that's going on in this world right now, where a lot of people are anti-police. 2 months ago, they were having parades for police officers. They were applauding them when they were coming out of the police station. It's a crazy world. It's such a tough job. It's such a difficult job. But I think people don't realize there's a support staff that goes with the police department that are just as important, that have the same type of stress, they see the same type of debauchery and everything else that goes on out there, and causes, a lot of stress. I'm sure you've seen things that you're never going to forget.
That's for sure. Some things that, you have PTSD over.
Absolutely.
And certain things, I can drive certain places in the county and recall what happened at, this house on this particular road, or, and it carries you back to what it was, to exactly what you saw, exactly what the scene was in your head. And most of it's not pretty.
Right. And I think it's important for people, when you just said PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, the DSM-5 diagnoses that as, recollection, memory of bad situations. And, 99% of police officers, 99.9% of police officers or technicians, they do have PTSD. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Just like war veterans have PTSD. It depends on how far you let it go, how far you let it advance. If it's keeping you up at night, it's time to get some help. So if you're listening to the show, and you have PTSD, and it is keeping you up at night, give us a call. I went to a suicide when my second year on the job. A young couple had committed suicide. I can smell the perfume the girl had on. I can tell you the car, the make, the model, what time of day, everything, the grass, how green it was, where the car was parked. I mean, it was like this went into my head and it stayed there for 30, well, it's almost 40 years now, but it is 40 years now. But it's just, PTSD is so important in this line of work because you got to learn to deal with it. You got to learn how to accept it. And I'm sure you yourself, as a nurse now, as a registered nurse or a licensed nurse, you see things again. You're in a job where you're going to see a lot of bad things.
That's for sure. And definitely, I agree with you. You have to deal with it, or otherwise it'll deal with you.
Exactly.
You have to figure out a way to get around those situations, and a lot of times I just avoid going that way.
Right.
At all possible. If there's a back way I can go that's not going to carry me completely out of my way, then I'm going to go the back way, because I know if I drive past there, it's going to trigger me back to that day, back to that scene, back to exactly what happened. And, I had nightmares for months after this one particular scene, because it was that horrific.
Sure.
And, I could say there's probably 5 or 6 incidents that I had the whole 10 years I worked that are always there, that you will never forget.
Well, I think it's important that if your police department aren't doing debriefings or diffusings after bad crimes, double murders. There were 2 brothers shot to death up in Lowell several years ago. Young kids. One was a high school student, an athlete. His older brother. They went out to buy a bag of weed and they get shot in the back of the head. Horrific stuff. But the cops that handled that call, I know both of them. We did debriefings and diffusings. If your police department isn't on board with doing that, then you know what? Someone should bring it up, and feel free to call our number and we can lead you in the right direction.
617-379-1163, guys. If you need any help, the Podfather will answer any of those questions for you.
Back
guys.
to you,
or tell
Jersey.
You how to get that. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Jodi and Podfather, quick question from a civilian here, and I'm sure maybe some of these new cops are probably wondering what's going on too. How long does a crime scene specialist or crime scene person, you guys probably stay on the scene probably most of the day, or hours at end, trying to take all this in, figure out evidence, get things together, long after the cops leave too, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, because a lot of times your street cops, your patrolmen, they'll leave the scene. They won't stay there, and of course, unless there's a crowd there, then somebody has to do crowd control. But usually, it's just us and the detectives that stay back behind and process the scene. And I think the longest time I ever spent on a crime scene was 36 hours.
Holy shit!
Imagine that.
That's talking from when we got on the scene, processing the scene, going to the morgue, watching the autopsy, collecting all this evidence, processing all this evidence, and turning it in. And then that's not even doing your report and turning that in, which has to be, of course, had to be reviewed by your supervisor. And if there was any changes, then you had to change that. But a lot of times, if it occurred in the morning and if the medical examiner was not busy, then he'd do the autopsy the same day. And, we worked 4 10s a week. So we work 10-hour shifts anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, we got a call one night, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night, and we were out for 36 hours on one call.
See, the general public would never know this, they don't understand unless they're the victims, unless somebody they know, love, or care for is the victim, then they're up close and personal. They get to understand what goes on here. And, that's just one of many, many things that police officers and EMS people have to do. And then Jodi just mentioned the morgue coming or the medical examiner, because they have to sign off on everything. You always have to wait for the ME. If somebody dies in their house and it's an unattended death, you got to stay with the body until the medical examiner gets there. And they've cut back up in Massachusetts. 20 years ago, they cut back hiring these people, and we used to have them to be on the scene within an hour or 2 tops. Nowadays, it can be 3-4 hours.
Wow. Hey guys, real real quick, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back, explore this crime scene a little bit more. I have a question for you on that, Podfather. And then, Jodi, we're going to get into some of your nursing and some of your recovery, maybe how this PTSD in that part of your life affected you and your abuse of alcohol and drugs and how you recovered from it.
Okay.
Sounds good. Answering the Call, the First Responders Podcast. We'll be right back.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Answering the Call, the First Responders Podcast. I am the Podfather, and I'm here with Jersey Ed and
Hi, guys.
Sweets, our producer.
Yeah.
Sweets.
And we have a special guest with us today. Go ahead, Jersey Ed. Bring us in.
Jodi Levins. Jodi, welcome back to the show, and thank you for coming on. There's also another part of your life. That was the first part of your life. The second part of your life, you ended up getting into nursing, and you're a wonderful nurse. I know your stories. I know what you do and how caring you are for human beings. It's just amazing, amazing that you did get into that part, the second part of your life, and you took this nursing field on and a huge career change. What was the thought of that, and why did you jump over into nursing?
I was technically getting bored in my job. I was the last 7 years I was at the sheriff's department. I was a legal assistant, a paralegal.
Okay.
That was my second degree, was business administration, and minored in paralegal studies. So I became a paralegal. And
Okay.
I was there for 7 years, and my job description changed, where I had been doing a lot of research, a lot of writing, a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed. Suddenly it changed. I wasn't doing anything anymore. Maybe 4 hours of the day of an 8-hour day was doing nothing. So I was getting bored. And I have family members. My mother's a retired RN. My uncle was an LPN. I have my aunt was several of my aunts were RNs. So, I mean, the medical side runs in, my mother's side of the family mostly. So I was no stranger to that. And my mother, her whole life has been, she worked for the VA for her first, I want to say 17, 18 years of her career in alcohol and drugs. Mm-hmm. And then she went out into the community, and she's worked in rehabs and detox centers, and her whole life has revolved mostly around alcohol and drug abuse. And during the last 10 years of her career, she did psychiatric home health nursing. So that's always been her end. I've always seen it from her point of view. So when all of this stuff happened to me, she understood where, how I got off track, why I got off track. And she was one of the biggest supporters that I had.
Mm-hmm. So now, Jodi, real quick. So how did your past life as a crime scene investigator, your nursing, and just everyday life play into you becoming addicted to alcohol? Alcohol, I believe, is your drug of choice, correct?
No, opioids is my drug of choice.
Opiates. Okay, all right. So did that play a big part in it? Because I know Podfather, you're talking about PTSD. I know some of the stories that Podfather says that definitely plays into what he was going through all those years ago when he was a police officer, and and he was able to get himself right-sided, and now he's just an amazing man in the community, helping other people out. So, and just like you.
Well, mine was basically revolved around physical issues. I injured my back on the job as an RN and went down that long path of, starting. I was prescribed, opiates by my primary care doctor, and it was just one surgery after the other. I had 5 surgeries within 5 years, and we're talking major surgeries, hip replacement, back surgeries, neck surgeries, everything where they just kept refilling the opiates. And I got really, really addicted to them, where the standard dose didn't work anymore. Not just physically, but psychologically, it didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's when, I was fine for a couple years, took them as I was supposed to, but then as the pain increases, then you take more, and then you take more, and then you're running out of your prescription in 2 weeks. And you either go through withdrawals for 3 or 4 days and suck it up for another 2 weeks, or you find another way to get them. And that's what I ended up resorting to, was finding another way to get them. And that's what got me in trouble in the long run. Went to nursing school, went and got my bachelor's degree, and went and got my master's degree. And during that time when I had my master's degree, my father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I had 3 people that year pass away. I had an aunt and my uncle, who was like my second father, and then my father, all within like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that put a lot of stress on my education. And I just pretty much zoned out. I mean, I passed. I wouldn't have let that. I'm just not that type of person to just say, screw this, I'm not going to study anymore. But I graduated and got my master's degree and I was still working as an RN because in Florida, back at that time, you have to work under a physician.
Okay.
Now they signed a law where you don't have to. They just recently signed that. So you can actually go out and work on your own. So I worked for a company in another town about 45 minutes away from here, and was doing home health visits, nurse practitioner visits, and also having a DEA license on top of it got me into a world of trouble, where I started writing scripts in other people's names and gone and picking them up and paying for them myself, and then taking them where the patients never even knew they even got them.
Oh man.
So that's what got me in trouble, got me arrested, got me in jail for 19 days, and got me put into the intervention project for nurses.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in that program for over 9 months.
And for those who don't know what that is, it's a monitoring program for nurses that Genesis House actually works very closely with a few of the monitoring programs for the nurses. So, and Jodi, on the meetings, when I hear all the nurses speaking and talking, it's a tough program to be in, these monitoring programs. But I can tell you what, every one of those who complain about it, on the other side, they say these monitoring programs save their lives too.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that's probably what, kind of the way you go. Real quick, we're going to have to close here in a couple minutes, but tell us what you're doing now, the good stuff, we want to hear, where your life is going, upon closing here, if you could.
Right now, my license has been suspended, but the state of Florida, I signed an agreement with them back in March, which will allow me to get my license back in a year. So right now, I'm basically attending meetings, volunteering at meetings. Like, I'm very heavily involved in Celebrate Recovery. Our church that we had just recently closed our Celebrate Recovery program. So I go to another one on Saturday nights. But, like you said, Ed, I'm here in the Zoom meetings at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. And I just feel that's right now, that's my way of giving back.
Absolutely.
Because I can't legally work. So I have to find another outlet. So that's one of the ways I've been giving back.
Yeah.
Well, Jodi, you're a remarkable woman. If I'll tell you, I do have clients. I'm a therapist now. I'm a licensed alcohol drug counselor and a clinical social worker. And I've had clients, pharmacists, nurses. I actually had a doctor. he's a chiropractor, but still a doctor, and with addiction problems. And they're in that program, similar program up here in Mass. One's up in New Hampshire, and their lives have changed dramatically. They're back on track, and it's so hard to fall into that abyss. Especially in your case, you had 5 major surgeries in 5 years. God bless you. But what a great story, and be proud of yourself, because to come on and help us like this, because you know what, booze and drugs will make us do things we don't want to do, go places we don't want to go, and be with people we don't want to be with, and to come out of that and go in the right direction. And I did it. I was sober, I've been sober quite a while, but 5 years, 6 years, I had a real rough time when I was a cop. I almost lost my job too back in the 80s, but I'm proud to say that when I started out, there was not a lot of help. People want to just fire somebody or just get rid of them. And now they're realizing that, their jobs actually cause this. The doctors giving prescription, everything. They're just trying to help. That's what they do. They want to make you feel better. They want to get rid of that pain. They don't know. They don't understand. But they do. They understand more now than they ever did, thanks to people like you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jodi Levins, thank you very much. I enjoy your stories and your sharing on all the Friends in Recovery virtual meetings, and thank you for being a guest on Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jodi.
Thanks, Jodi. Thanks,
well,
Jodi.
once again, Ed, you did it. You bring on these great guests. I don't know where you find them. I don't know. It's a gift. You have this gift. You find these. It's always the next guest is better than the last guest.
It's all about recovery, all about the police work, all about the first responders. Jodi is an amazing person. She didn't share this, but every time she comes on to one of our virtual meetings, she's always sewing masks together for you name it. She's doing it. I mean, months and months of sewing masks for people. Right. I don't. She's giving them out. She's doing this. It's just an amazing what she does for the community. And that's one thing that I like about recovery and first responders, nurses, first responders. You guys are always giving back to the community, Mike. Right. And that's the sad part of all this that's going on now, is that nobody's talking about the community policing, the community events that you guys do, all that stuff. And
people are too worried about their party affiliation, who's going to get elected, and they're forgetting the cops that they were applauding and lauding several weeks ago. Now they're the bad guys. What happened in Minnesota was horrific. We saw it.
Yes,
the cop killed somebody. He murdered a guy. That's it. He's a bad guy. He's a disgrace to the uniform. But he's going to pay the ultimate price. That's one person. Yeah. Last week in Chicago, 13 people were murdered. 2 of them were small children. Where's the media? They're not nowhere near it. They don't want to show it because it's not newsworthy. It makes me sick. It really does. Yeah. And for all these first responders, cops, especially right now, what they're going through, I'll tell you, I feel bad for anybody that's putting on a uniform that's getting out of the academy, has to go out there in society, because it's a whole different ball game now.
Yeah, absolutely. And those guys who are putting on a uniform now, they know what they're in for, and I applaud them even more, because it's they know what they're going out there after, and the stuff that they might have to face. And thank you guys for everything you guys do for us, the first responders. Particularly the police officers that we're talking about right here. And firefighters and everybody. But you guys are guys protect us. We love you guys. That's why we do this show, Podfather. That's we want to honor these guys and really bring out the good in all the first responders, not all the bad shit that goes on.
That's right. We salute these people and our veterans too. These veterans that have come back from keeping our country safe from over in Afghanistan and other places abroad. And they have to listen to this. The insanity of what's going on now, and it's really a shame. It really is. When they're taking down statues and they're preventing, you can't have fireworks on the 4th of July. It's just totally insane. I heard a doctor on the radio driving here this morning. That's all I do is listen to talk radio, and pretty smart guy.
You listen to NPR? Do you listen to NPR?
I do. And I was listening to Dr.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, maybe for a short time. But I was listening to Dr. Rand Paul. He's run for president 3 times.
Yes.
He's a moderate guy. But he said it all. The best thing in the world for any type of, cold, any type of disease is fresh air and sunshine. That's God given. That's nature giving its cure to you right there. Don't be locking people up in their houses for months at a time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you, Podfather. Well, Podfather, thank you very much. Another great show. We do get a little opinionated on this show, but we have to, because we need our first responders protected. We need them to protect us. Thank you for all those years protecting us, and all those first responders out there still protecting us, no matter what's going on out there. And we look at both sides. We understand the protests. We understand, we want change in this world, and I want it just as much as the next guy does. But I also want to be safe in this world too, and knowing that when I lock my door, nobody's going to kick it in, and and somebody's going to respond somebody will respond if they do. So
right. Oh, somebody will respond. I feel bad for anyone that tries to kick at my door. I'll tell you that.
Well, Podfather, great show. Take us out of here.
Hey, listen, Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast, and stay safe. Happy 4th of July, and we salute every one of you out there.
Amen. Stay safe, everybody.
That concludes this episode of Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast. Thanks to Genesis House for sponsoring the show and supporting first responders who are struggling with addiction and mental health. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com.